We're talking about the monetary policy committee outcome of that meeting, the 300 monetary policy committee meeting, and the outcome of it. And as we already know by now, the CBN retained its MPR rate at 27.5%. Joining me to further discuss and analyze the outcome of that meeting is Dr. Emmanuel Bashayi, joining us virtually from here in Abuja. Good morning. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for having me once again.
All right. So I remember last week we spoke, and I asked you what should we expect from the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. Has this outcome actually? Do you agree with the outcome of the meeting?
Absolutely, I do. Remember last week, my recommendation was that the MPC should keep the rates constant, at least for the time being. And then hopefully, if we continue to sustain the momentum we have now, we should be looking forward to lower rates as we go into the rest of the year. So it's good that the MPC is listening to the different voices coming from different quarters, especially for those that are directly impacted. I mean, not just the people that are directly impacted, but from Nigerians as a whole. So it's a good move. I support it, and I completely agree with the MPC for keeping the rates constant. And I am confident that if we sustain this momentum, we should start seeing lower rates. Let's take this as the peak, and then we should start seeing a decline in the rate as we go towards the end of the year.
All right. So what are the potential implications for maintaining the MPR rate at 27.5% for inflation and the Nigerian economy?
So, like I said last week, it's a balance of the two, right? So you want to tame inflation, but you also don't want to kill the economy. So it's getting to that midpoint where you strike a balance between keeping inflation at bay and also ensuring that the economy is able to sustainably grow. So we've had the stiffening or the stifling over the last, the tightening over the last couple of months, and maybe we will start getting to the point where we start loosening, because that would then stimulate economic growth and all. Remember, the implication is that when you continue to jack up MPR, you increase the cost of borrowing, and that affects directly the real sector. And when it does affect the real sector, it eventually comes back to the cost of goods and services, which also can slow down inflation, because people now spend less because they have now little money at their disposal, and then inflation can be tamed. But then the industries that provide jobs and services then have to struggle with the cost of capital versus having the right price for their goods and services.
All right. So now the CRR was kept at a high level, held at 50% for deposit money bank and 16% for merchant banks. What does this portend really for what are the intended effects for this when it's being done like that? What do we expect to see?
So the cash reserve ratio talks about how much cash the commercial banks or the merchant banks need to keep as a percentage of their total liquidity and all. Now, what that means is that the banks need to continue to be sufficiently liquid to keep up with the financial obligations to their customers. So you need to have ready cash to be able to meet up with the requests from your customers and all. So for commercial banks, the capitalization has been taken up in the last couple of months. So this shouldn't be a problem for them, because they are supposed to have sufficient liquidity, sufficient cash to be able to keep up with that.
All right. Now, so let's take this a bit down to the most affected people in the country, which are the small, medium, and scale enterprises. How would this in any way affect their businesses and they're upscaling their businesses generally?
So for the SMEs, this has been the advocacy we've been making, that we need to also have something that provides some bit of succor, or something they can fall back on in terms of how this impacts. Remember, the SMEs may need to approach a commercial bank to get a loan to be able to take care of their expansion needs or their increasing working capital needs, right? Now, when they have to borrow at a high rate, remember the MPR sets a benchmark for borrowing and lending, right, from the CBN and from the commercial bank to their own customers who approach them for financing. So if that goes high, it means the cost of borrowing is high. So think about it. If you have to borrow money at 35% interest rate per annum, what business are you going to invest that money into that will give you sufficient profits to pay off your loan and still have some money left? There are not so many businesses that can survive that. So what that means is that the ability of small businesses to gain, to access credit to expand, it's almost non-existent. You need to be making so much money for you to be able to survive a plus 30, an interest rate that's above 30%. Okay, so what that has done is that it has slowed down the SMEs who typically employ a good number of the working population. If they cannot expand, if they cannot keep their prices as competitive as possible, then they are not able to stay in business. So Nigerians have to, the real sector has had to grapple with it. If you notice, if you remember the comment made by the president of, I think, the Chamber of Commerce or so, where he was talking about the fact that we need to start seeing a loosening of the measures taken by the MPC, because the businesses that are vulnerable are significantly impacted by these rates, and it's out of no fault of theirs.
Okay, now you just said something, but let me just hone it down to a bit. Can you tell us, with this outcome and this information, what sectors are we looking at that are we most hit and most vulnerable to high rates? What sectors in our economy?
The manufacturing sector. It's the easiest and the closest, most hit by this, because they need working capital needs, huge working capital needs, and then they also have to import machinery and in most cases also raw materials. So they are grappling with FX, and they're also grappling with local interest rates. So it's a double whammy for them in most cases. Think about it. When you have let's say an auto dealer who needed to expand his workshop and doesn't have ready cash, and he needs to be able to access funding from his bank to be able to expand his workshop and all. The thing is going to be, if I access funding at a higher rate, it means that's going to affect the cost of my services. And he's in a very competitive market where he's competing with roadside mechanics, also competing with structured auto service centers like himself. So if you're not competitive, then you will not be in business, because you can't keep up with your bills and then also be able to keep up with your obligations and liabilities. So the manufacturing sector is hit. Even the like agricultural production, poultry and the rest of them, cost of feeds have gone up. If they have to access funding, they can't keep up with the current price of commodities. So these are the kind of sectors that are worst hit, and then you will see a myriad of other sectors that are significantly impacted. Overall, it comes down to the cost of goods and services in the market.
Okay, now, so we are an oil-based country economy. Now, the fluctuation of prices, how does this affect this outcome?
So the fluctuation in the price of oil directly impacts on us because we're like a mono export economy. We have a significant weight of our exports leaning on one commodity, which is oil. The other exports that we have are not as significant as oil. It's almost like a drop in the ocean. Until we're able to grow the other exports that we have, we are stuck with the oil for now. Now, we benchmarked, we budgeted oil to be at $75 a barrel. Now it's going below 65, and then keeps dancing up and down. So what that means is that it reduces the FX supply because that's our major source of FX. And when it's impacted, it means we now have more pressure on the little that we have. So egg importers will have to look for it. Everybody is in need of the little supply of the FX that we have. So it also comes back to us. Good, we've seen that in the last couple of months, we've increased oil output. So if the price doesn't go up or you are able to bring out more products to the market, then you will be able to in some way salvage the situation. But the biggest hit is still around the price not leveling up to what we have budgeted for. And that means it's going to have a significant impact on our FX generation, and then also on what do they call the struggle that importers would finish goods and raw materials as they bring them into the country because they depend on FX.
All right, just before you go, what another meeting is going to come up soon, and of course we're hoping to hear better information, better news. What exactly should the MPC look out for before the next meetings in making the decisions?
So a key thing will be to look at, they should continue to closely monitor the impact of the cost of funds on manufacturers and SMEs, because they detect the pulse for the entire country. And it's important that they keep a very close eye on that. We should have a very close monitoring of the price of goods and services, and we'll see food inflation, and then we'll see the inflation across the top line and then headline and all of those. So we need to keep a very close eye on that. For me, not to preempt what the next meeting should be, but if they will not reduce the FPR, then they should not touch it. That would be my recommendation. Then they also have to have their eyes very well peeled to keep out for these indices that directly affect and have been triggering the economy. So we need to have we need to strike a very fine balance to ensure that we are not overheating the system.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bashayi. Time won't allow us to continue the conversation. We have to wrap it up at this time. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily this morning on Trust TV.
The pleasure is all mine. Have a good day ahead. Thank you.
And that's it for Business Daily this morning on the program. Same time, same place tomorrow. My name is Chiamaka. Nwafor. Bye for now.